Namaste everyone. Thank you for joining in yet another video on this channel. And in today's video, we'll be looking at the effects of the upcoming lunar eclipse on the 7th and the 8th of September on the zodiac signs. That means you can study these effects from the ascendant as well as from the moon sign in whichever way you relate more strongly. And if you have not watched the previous video on this lunar eclipse, this upcoming lunar eclipse, I would request you to go back and watch it so that you have a better understanding of the do's and don'ts that are very much essential for this period. Okay, so this lunar eclipse in Aquarius is going to take place on the 7th and the 8th of September. And the important thing to remember is that this is going to take place after 18 years. Okay. And if you're familiar with Vedic astrology, you'll understand that Rahu and Ketu, they take 18 years to complete their cycle. And, you know, 18 years ago on the same date, an eclipse took place at the same degree in Aquarius, and this eclipse is taking place in the same degree after 18 years. Okay. And this is like history repeating itself. Okay. And 18 years also mean the end of certain things and the beginning of new things, right? And, obviously, if you are, if you're whatever age you are in the last 18 years of your life, you must have learned a lot. People mature a lot in 18 years, and this is like the beginning of a new phase. Okay. Uh, all the planets have their own beginnings. For example, for Jupiter, the new phase begins at 12 years. For Saturn, it begins at 30 years. Right. So for Rahu and Ketu, this 18 years signifies the beginning of a new phase. Okay. So if you are Aries Lagna or Aries Moon, this eclipse is happening in the 11th house of the zodiac of your Kundli, that is. And, the eclipse is occurring in the 11-5 axis because that is where Rahu and Ketu are present. And, because this is a lunar eclipse, it is taking place in your 11th house. So during this period, you may see suffering related to your elder siblings. Okay. And remember, 11th house is also the house of your investments. So if you are supposed to take any important decision related to investments, please postpone it to 3 days after the eclipse. Okay, because the eclipse is always related to the mind. The moon relates to our mind. So if the mind is affected, your decisions can go wrong. Okay, and this is also the appropriate time that you will find to end some old friendships and introduce yourself to some new people, to some new network circles. Okay, and this is also the time to make changes in your investment portfolio. Okay, and remember, Moon lords your, the lord of your fourth house, right? Moon lords your fourth house. And, because it's your fourth house, so you need to have a relook at your behavior with your mother as well as your relationships. Okay. And, it is possible that your mother's health might go through some issues. So please take care of your health, of her health rather. And if you're active on social media, then please be very careful about your words, about your social media image. Okay. And, if you are getting some unconventional ideas which you would like to work upon, then it is recommended that you evaluate them thoroughly. Okay. So uh, the best remedy for the moon is, of course, the chanting of Om Namah Shivaya. That is a Prasiddh mantra, so anyone can do it even without Diksha. And this is a general remedy for all the people, for people of all ascendants or all moon signs. Okay. Now for Taurus ascendants or Taurus moon, this eclipse is happening in the 10th house. And remember, the 410 axis, the 10-4 axis is a very karmic axis. Okay. So this means this is a time of a great karmic shift. And all of a sudden you might find that, you have this urge of, quitting your old work and starting new things. Okay. Because, the 10th house represents your workplace to some extent. So, if you are feeling that urge to change your job or maybe to go to a better job, resist that urge. Okay. Because when Rahu is in the 10th house, it creates a lot of illusions, right? You may end up getting shortlisted for a company or an organization that might look to be very, glamorous, very glitzy in the outset. Okay. But then later on, when you join, you might feel that it was not a wise thing to leave your old organization. Similarly, you may be getting some new business ideas. You may be very uh, upbeat to start something new in terms of business. Okay, so it's very much recommended that you allow your energies to calm down before taking a decision. Okay, and for Taurus ascendant, because Rahu is in the 10th, so you are bound to get benefits after the eclipse. Okay, and Rahu also relates to long distance journeys, so you may be looking at some transfers related to your job if you are in a transferable job, for example. Right now, the 10th house also represents your father, so be very careful with regards to the health of your father. And remember, Ketu is in the 4th house, so it can also impact your mother, right? So, as I said, the best remedy for any kind of eclipse is the chanting of the Prasid mantra Om Namah Shivaya. So please chant that mantra if you feel a lot of mental stress and agony. For Gemini people, this eclipse is happening in the 9th house. So this is not a very good situation. You don't want your house of fortune or your Bhagyasthan to get eclipsed. Okay. So it's very important not to take any financial decision or any major life decision. And this is a time to avoid long journeys. Remember, in the last video, I said that, the northern parts of the country as well as the northern parts of Asia are going to be very much impacted after this eclipse. Okay. So if you are supposed to take any journey, long journeys, that is, please avoid taking journeys till the last week of September. Okay, and if it becomes absolutely necessary to take a journey, then you are advised to exercise a lot of caution. Okay, and remember for Gemini ascendants or Gemini moon, Saturn lords your 9th house, and Saturn is retrograding. Okay, and Jupiter, which is in the 1st house right now, is also expecting your 9th house. Okay, so this is a balanced situation. And if you are not impulsive, if you don't take any impulsive decisions, you will not face any major problems. Okay, if you are a student and you are looking to go for higher studies, then this is the time after the eclipse is good to do that. And it is also good to start some new learnings or learn, some new skill-based activities if you have been planning around this time. Okay, and remember, if you are into spirituality or sadhana, then be very careful of coming across some fraud, people who can deceive you, right? Because as I said, Guru is sitting in the 1st house, and Guru is on the ninth. Guru is looking at your 9th house, and Saturn is also looking at the 9th house. Okay, so if you remain focused, if you keep track of your ethical as well as non-ethical activities, then obviously this eclipse is going to give you good results, because Saturn and Jupiter are both influencing your 9th house and creating a Dharma Karma Adhipati Yoga. Okay, so don't take any shortcuts, don't do any unethical things to get results faster. Keep following the path of Dharma, keep following hard work, and obviously you are going to get good results. Okay, so for Cancer ascendants or for Cancer moon, this eclipse is happening in your 8th house. Again, the 8th house is it's not a good house to have an eclipse. Okay, it's not a good house to have an eclipse, because the 8th house represents sudden transformations or is the as I said, the 8th house is the house of transformations. So you might feel that you are going through a lot of issues, a lot of hiccups, a lot of ups and downs, okay, in terms of health, in terms of finances. So you may also be very cluttered when it comes to facing these obstacles, right? You might feel that your work has become very burdensome. You are not getting the results that you are meant to get. So these obstacles are bound to come, but you have to maintain patience. Remember, Saturn is teaching you patience, okay, because Saturn rules this house of the 8th house for Cancer natives. So your mind might become restless, but then it's very important to keep your mind calm. Okay, you also need to be very, very careful regarding your reputation, because there is a possibility that your name could be slandered or your name could be tarnished. Okay, and you might have done things from the past which now, in the past, which now might come to haunt you, right? So again, meditation as well as chanting is the best way to balance this eighth house energy. And if you are patient for at least a week after the eclipse is over, you will obviously feel a lot relaxed. Okay. And because this eclipse is happening, because Rahu Ketu is in the 8th to axis, so there could be some dispute, regarding some ancestral property. Okay. So don't take any decision related to property. Okay. Remember, not taking any decision, being patient is also a remedy. Okay. Keep your mind calm. As I said, and you will be good, right? So now for Leo ascendants, this eclipse is happening in the seventh house. And remember, right now Ketu is in the Lagna, Rahu is in the seventh house. So this eclipse is happening in the 7-1 axis. Okay, and this is again a very karmic period. Of course, all eclipses are very karmic periods. And you'll see some patterns repeating, some deja vu moments occurring, right? And but then in the last 18 years, we have learned a lot. We have gained a lot of experience. A lot of maturity has come. So based on that maturity level, based on that experience level, you're going to leave a lot of things. You're going to adopt new things. And because this eclipse is happening in the seventh house, so it might raise certain question marks on relationships, or maybe you have to take some very important decisions related to your relationships during this time. Okay, if you are already married, be very careful about your behavior with your spouse, with partners and the people around you. And if you're in business, remember the seventh house also represents the house of business. Be very careful with your business partners. Try avoiding important business deals around this eclipse. And if you have to do it, then take a second opinion, third opinion, and maybe you can get, advice from experts, because your decisions can go very, very wrong. Okay. And, if you're, as I said, if you're married, then don't get into any kind of extramarital affair, which can cause a huge social, consequence, and your reputation can take a beating. Okay. Remember, Mars and Saturn are opposite to each other in the second and eighth. Okay. So some Leo people might face health related issues. So be very careful about your health. Okay. And as I said, the eclipse is all about keeping your mind calm. Keep yourself hydrated, okay? Because Leo represents that dry fire, and the moon is all about hydration, okay? So if you keep yourself hydrated and keep yourselves calm, be patient, then this eclipse is after the after eclipse period is going to be very good. Now, for Virgo ascendants, this eclipse is happening in your sixth house, and sixth house eclipse is not a very bad thing as compared to the other houses, because sixth house is the house of debt, disease, and enemies. Okay, so if debt, diseases, and enemies are eclipsed, it's good. But then the moon affliction is going to give a lot of mental stress. It's the lord of your 11th house, which is getting eclipsed. So you might face some kind of blockages in terms of your income. Okay, because Mars is also sitting in your first house, and it's very important that you avoid aggression. Keep your anger in control, keep your attitude in check. Okay, don't be in a reactive mode. And remember, if you are very reactive, then obviously enemies are going to be created and there will be problems. Okay, and if you are facing some health-related issues right now, you might get solution to those problems after the eclipse. Okay, now if you are also looking for getting some business loan or some personal loan, then this is a good time to get it. Okay, and if you're going through some legal battles, then uh, this Rahu in the sixth house can give you victory over your over your legal issues. Okay, and because Ketu is in the 12th, so you might find yourself getting connected to some spiritual people, or you may find yourself going to some places of isolation or even temples. Okay, and because Guru is also aspecting the sixth house, so you will get some divine help, unexpected help. Okay, and for keeping the mind calm, it's very important that you keep on chanting the Shiva Panchakshari mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. For Libra ascendants, this eclipse is happening in your fifth house. Okay, And again, fifth house is not a good house to have an eclipse because your intellect and wisdom are getting eclipsed, right? And your 10th lord, which is the lord of your career, is getting eclipsed. So, people who are in creative field, if you're a student, if you're having a startup, then be very careful during this time, okay? In fact, till the sun remains with Ketu, you have to be really, really careful because it can cause some breakage related to your work, related to your karma. If you're into the stock market, then avoid speculation. Try to be in that in the long-term game. Don't take short-term risks. Okay, don't take unnecessary risks so that you don't get into trouble. And you might feel that the support of your colleagues at the workplace have diminished. Okay, if you are having pregnant women at home, or if you yourself are pregnant, then be very careful about your health. Okay, and if you have children, then it's very important to keep an eye on the activities of your children. Okay, and remember, because this eclipse is happening in the fifth house, so you might find some problems in your romantic relationships. You might find your romantic partner not living up to your expectations, or you might get into a situation where you have gotten into a relationship with the wrong person, okay, or some unconventional relationship, maybe with a married man, or maybe with a widow, right? So it's very important that you keep your relationships in check, maintain a balance in your existing relationships if you are already in a relationship. And if you if you keep your mind calm, if you're able to avoid some relationship temptations, then you should be good. Okay. Now for Scorpio ascendants or Scorpio moon, this eclipse is happening in your fourth house. And again, this is a very karmic place for people to have an eclipse. So, the fourth house represents your heart. So be very careful about blocked emotions, some old feelings of insecurity coming up. And don't worry about small things. Okay, remember that all the things are going to take care of themselves. And try not to have any debates or arguments at home. Remember that your home atmosphere should not be spoiled because of certain little things, right? And the fourth house means your vehicle as well. So you might see that your personal vehicles have developed some problems which were not there previously. Okay, you also have to be careful about the health of your mother, because the fourth house belongs to the mother as well. The fourth house also represents your primary and secondary education. So if you are appearing for an exam, then be very calm, be very focused. And the lord of your ninth house is getting eclipsed. And remember, ninth house is higher education. So be very focused during this time, no distractions, and keep your mind calm, keep your mind balanced, and maintaining patience is the key. Okay. Now for Sagittarius ascendants or Sagittarius moons, this eclipse is happening in your third house. So it's not a bad thing to happen. But then, as long as the sun is with Ketu, you have to take certain precautions. Okay. You have to remember that you should not get into any kind of arguments with your younger siblings, nor with any neighbors. Okay. And third house also represents the house of deals. Okay. So you might feel that some good deals have come in front of you. But then don't jump into those deals without taking the necessary precautions. Okay. And this eclipse is happening in the 9-3 axis, so it is good if you avoid short as well as long journeys during this time. Okay. And this eclipse is a good opportunity to clear your old pending works. As I said, you will take on new work as well as new initiatives. And you can also expect the support of the people around you. Okay, so because of which your prosperity is going to increase. Your courage is also your courage is also going to show an upturn during this period, because Rahu in the third house is going to make you feel very, very courageous in thoughts. And overall, this is a good time if you are a if you are a Sagittarius moon or a Sagittarius Lagna. But then be careful with going overdrive. Okay, if you are trying to start something new, then just don't just go for the kill. Please be very, very careful, exercise caution, and remember that this is a time when the period 7 days or 10 days after the eclipse is going to give you very good results. Okay. Now for Capricorn ascendants, this eclipse is happening in the second house. So again, this is a karmic axis. The second date axis is karmic, and an eclipse in the house of your finances and the house of your family, saved wealth, is not very good. So be very careful with what you eat, okay? Because the second house is the house of food, and be conscious about your health, right? Uh, you know, don't get into eating exotic foods because it can lead to food poisoning, okay? And be very careful with your speech, right? So be very careful while saying something so that you don't create misunderstandings, okay? The second house also represents your family, so there could be some problems in the family, okay? And avoid lending money to any person during this time, okay? And you might get some disturbing news related to any family member or extended family during this eclipse. But then for Capricorn ascendants or Capricorn moon, Saturn is in the third house, okay? And Guru is also activating your seventh house after it moves there from its current position in Gemini. Okay, so you have to be a little careful after the eclipse period is over, right? Avoid taking important financial decisions during this period. And again, as I said, take care of your speech rather, and remember that silence is golden. Okay. Now, for Aquarius Moon or Aquarius Lagna, this eclipse is happening in the first house. And again, it's not good if your intelligence or buddhi is getting eclipsed. Okay. So this is a process of change. Don't try to resist it, because change is always painful initially, but as you get accustomed to it, you are bound to get good results. Okay. And this is also a time where you will find leaving many old habits, good or bad, right? But then you'll also have a lot of nervous energy about yourself because the moon is going to be there in the first house. Okay. You might feel that you are suffering from some kind of confidence issues. Okay. You are being underconfident in certain issues. Okay. So, if you're having those issues, then then go to a Kali temple and seek solitude. Okay. And remember, Rahu in the first house can make you very self-centered. You may be perceived as someone too aggressive or someone too selfish. Okay. Another remedy for Aquarius Lagna or Aquarius Moon people is to worship Hanuman. Okay. And if you are patient, as I said, because Saturn represents the qualities of patience, you would be absolutely fine. Now for Pisces Lagna, this eclipse is happening in the 12th house. Okay. And again, 12th house is the house of your isolation. Okay. So you might feel yourself getting, isolated without any reason. And Saturn is in your first house. So you might feel some sorrow coming in because Saturn is the Karaka for sorrow. Now, for if you are a Pisces moon, this means that your Sadhasati is also going on. Okay. So, for if Saturn in Lagna or in the first house is not good, again, Jupiter is also not very well placed right now in Gemini. Rahu is in the 12th house and eclipse is taking place in the 12th house. So be very, very careful with accidents. Be very, very careful with fire. If you are into driving, be very, very careful while driving your vehicle. There could be some excretion related problems because 12th house represents the house of your digestion and excretion combined. There could be some problems in sleeping due to anxiety as well as mental tensions. 12th house is also the house of your hidden enemies. So be very careful from hidden enemies at your workplace, at your home, at your family, because it may end up causing some kind of loss, right? And it's the Lord of your fifth house which is getting eclipsed. So if you're having any kind of affair, please be very careful because the news of your love affairs may spread in the wrong way. Your old love affairs may come out in the open. You may face some kind of defamation. You may be subjected to some kind of lawsuits or slander. So be very, very careful about your reputation. And because of problems in sleeping, you might feel that you are going through a lot of anxiety. So it's very important to keep yourself calm And apart from doing the Prasiddha, Shiva Panchakshari mantra, doing charity on a daily basis is going to be very, very good. Okay, so as you do more and more charity, the negative energy of the 12th house is going to dissipate. And if there is a temple located at your place, on your place, please go and visit there. Spend some time in solitude. Meditation obviously is very good, not only for Pisces people, but for everyone. And once you keep on doing these remedies, and if you're patient, then you will find that the eclipse period has passed without any problems. Okay, so this was my assessment for the effects of this upcoming lunar eclipse on all the houses and all the moon signs. Please leave behind your feedback regarding whatever effects you are feeling. And if you find this video useful, please share it with your friends and family. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the content if you find it useful. And I'll see you soon in my next video. Namaste. Om Gurave Namah.